to the Always Reading Book Club. It is your girl, Kiki Reader. And we're just diving right back into our Crossfire series again. We are now on our fourth book in this series. Again, if you haven't caught up on the first three books, I'm going to put all those links down below. Once you finish those, you can jump in, join us as we dive into Captivated by You. So Captivated by You actually starts off from Gideons Perspective, which is a first in this series so far, which, I absolutely adore when they do the back and forth. So it's going to go back and forth between the two in this one. So it starts off with him having a nightmare, and when Eva wakes up, she, of course she's going to ask him, like, what was the nightmare about? And of course he doesn't tell her because he always denies it, or he'll say, I don't remember. So she tells him, he needs to talk. He needs to, really tell what's going on and stop trying to hold everything in. This never works with him. She keeps trying, but it just doesn't work. So she does tell him, 6 nights they are going to be in San Diego, because remember, they're going to San Diego carrying her for the weekend. And she wanted to be up front. Hey, they're going to be there. And she doesn't feel like something, how do I say it? She feels like something is just not finished with Brent. Now, that's a lot for anyone to hear. But of course, for Gideon, that's a ton, and he flips out because in his mind he's thinking, I put a ring on her finger, we said our vows, and yet this guy is still a threat, which makes me think again, I do think there is this intense love that he has for her, but it's is that why you were in such a rush? Because you felt like that's the only, let's be honest, he's over that record company, he's the majority holder, right? So their schedule. There's nothing for you to get a schedule of where they're going to be. So then that makes me think, is that why you were in such a rush to do it? So that way she had the promise she made to you that she couldn't break. I don't know. I could be overthinking it, but that's why I didn't feel like it was a good idea for them to just him to keep kind of badgering her. Like, we need to get married. We love each other. There's nobody else for us. I just kind of felt like, you shouldn't need this level of commitment this fast. Honestly, that's a little much. But anyway, I digress. Well, then he wants to now throw Corinne in her face and say, well, since you have unfinished business, I guess I do as well with Corinne. Now, of course, she is beyond pissed at this because she was actually trying to talk to him. She was trying to tell him something because she tries to be very honest with him. And unfortunately, he says he wants that, but then he can't really handle it. And so then he goes into bitch mode, is what I'm going to call it, of, oh, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do this. And that's trash. That's a massive issue for her as well with this woman. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of crappy. She's like, how dare you throw that up in my face? And so, of course, they do the whole back and forth. There's no real resolution. He isn't capable of hearing about the effects that her past with Brent has on her. He just isn't capable of even trying to understand it. I understand it's a lot. He just can't do it. Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to that woman, it is very much, this is my person, and I cannot imagine them feeling anything stronger for anyone else, because I've truly never felt anything stronger. So it's a lose with that. He's just never going to understand. Eva calls Gideon when she gets to work, asks him, is there any way to get the address of Megumi? Because she hasn't been coming to work for the past week. And Gideon's like, I can, but it's not going to be legal. Because, of course, it's not supposed to be giving out information on other employees. So he tells her, contact Raul. He can get the information for you. So then she gets a call from her mother as well while she's at work. And her mother's all worked up. And she's like, you didn't call me and tell me about your engagement. So Eva, rushes off the phone and pretty much tells her, listen, I'll talk to you later. I'm not going to do this right now on the phone. She was about to call her dad, but then Mark came up and then she had work to do. So she did try to send him, she sent him a text, her dad, to let him know, hey, I'm going to call you around noon. So hopefully she can get to him before the news does, because he is in California, so he's 3 hours behind. So Gideon's mom comes to see him right before he has a meeting, and the first thing she says is, "Why did you give that girl my ring?" And he told her, "Because I asked her to marry me." And then she, of course, was like, "She's trouble. I know about her and that rock star, and she has a past, and she's bringing up things from the past to destroy our family." And he said, "We were estranged before she came in the picture." The mom was like, "I know, but I want to try and change that." And he's like, "I understand that." No, this is what she said to him. "I understand that what happened to your father affected you, but it affected everyone." And he was like, "You didn't love me enough to deal with what was really happening, and I'm not going into this anymore, especially while I'm at work. And I advise you not try and position yourself against Eva, because if you do, you will not win." Then he told her to leave and never come back. Later that day, Eva comes up to spend some time with him before she leaves. But he has a meeting. So she stays, but she decides to mess with him. So she gives him like this amazing blowjob. He has like a video meeting, so he's all in a meeting. And she's down there sucking him off. And it was hilarious reading this because he's trying to, like, he's very vocal, like, when they're, like, together. And he couldn't say anything. So he's trying to have this conversation. And he's getting his dick sucked. And it's like, oh, my gosh. So that was funny to read that. And he had to mute it at one point. Just so, like, I guess he needed to let out a sigh or something. So he muted it. But the screen was still up. I just thought it was hilarious. But it's kinky and freaky. It's cute. So as soon as she's done, well, he's done. Well, he comes, but he's not done because he's still hard. Of course, he gets off of that video chat as quick as he can, and he fucks the shit out of her. Then she starts asking him, like, "Well, what are you going to do, like, while I'm gone?" And he's like, "Well, I figured I'd have, like, a guy's night." And she's like, "What does that mean? Like, are you guys going to go trolling for women?" You got to remember, she is a jealous, insecure individual. So she has issues, too, So he says, "No, we'll probably just play cards or something. We might go to a bar. I don't know. If we do, it'll probably be one of mine. Nothing major." So she was kind of worried because she knows Ronaldo isn't, like, her biggest fan. And it's just because that's his friend. So the truth of the matter is, if I see my friend in love with someone, I've never seen him this way about a woman, right? And then all of a sudden, I see this woman kissing another man extremely, like a passionate kiss. And I see my friend's reaction to that was pure violence. I don't think I would think you were a good match for him either. I would think you are a problem, So I'm not against Ronaldo thinking that this is, I just want you to be cool. Like, think a little bit more because you're not thinking when it comes to this individual. I don't think Ronaldo was wrong for that at all. But she, of course, feels insecure because she feels like if he doesn't like me, then he's going to tell the other friends, and then they're not going to like me because you got to remember, she spirals. And when she starts doing that, she worries about everything. So I get it. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't be kissing that damn man in front of him. Like, you shouldn't have did it. The truth of the matter is, you and him were actually together. You could have, slid away and not let him kiss you. Or if he did, you could have pulled yourself away and you didn't. And that's just the honest truth. So you allowed people to see something that looked like this is not just a physical attraction. There's some emotion involved in that. So that's her fault. Can't feel sorry for her. That was my rant. So later that night, he has them, of course, they all come over, and he speaks to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo, let him know, I've been nothing but respectful to her. Like, he's not disrespectful to her at all. He's like, but I will, and I'll remain that way. I'm not going to change. He was like, but I can't help how I feel about the situation. So Ronaldo, we find out, was in love with a woman, I think her name was Bianca, and she left him for another man. And so the way he sees Eva and Brent react to one another, because remember, he was kind of like that chaperone on the date at the restaurant, He feels like it's the same type of situation because they interact with each other the way Bianca and the guy she left him for react to one another. Again, that makes total sense of why he feels the way he does. So on the plane, the PJ, Eva tells Carrie, the truth, that her and Gideon actually got married on the island. He's not happy about it. He thinks you're rushing. And that's basically it. There's no way to really convince someone that you're not rushing into something. Because, I don't even think it's been 2 months at this point. So, yeah, it's a rush. They get to San Diego late that night, 9 o'clock. Well, not late. 9 o'clock there, California time, midnight in New York. Of course, Gideon's still up. So while they were on the plane, she was able to email him messages and stuff. And then when they landed, her dad picked him up, took him out to eat. And then she gets a text from Brent saying, call me when you get into town. So the next morning she gets a call from Gideon and she feels the need to tell him just how much she really is obsessed / addicted to him, because she could tell, the conversation she had, it was this is just so not healthy, because there's a physical ache that she has when she's not with that man. And they both have this, this undeniable, just, again, unhealthy, attachment to one another. And she just felt the need to let him know she felt that. But I also felt she was doing it because she was going to talk to Brent that day. And she needed him to understand how much he meant to her, because she knew this was an issue for him. And her father actually was kind of listening to the convo. He kind of walked in on the end, but he heard her. And he actually told her, the way you just described, what you just described, that's how I feel for your mother. And then she kind of looks at her dad wow. She gets it. She totally understands that. And why it's been so hard for him to let the mother go all these years. Sad but true. So later that day, she goes to see Dr. Travis. He talks with Carrie, and then he talks with Eva. And Dr. Travis just pretty much lets her know, her biggest issue is her not feeling like she's good enough for Gideon. She feels, I think that's why she does have this thing with Brent, because Brent just basically fucks people. He's done with them. He goes on. Not that Gideon didn't do that in the past too. Now let's not get it twisted, but that's still the place that Brent is really in. And because she has such low self-esteem and doesn't think she's worthy, I think that's another reason why she holds on to Brent as well, because that allows her to think, this is maybe what I deserve, this type of life, and not someone that genuinely loves me beyond extreme. You know what I mean? I think that is her problem. She does have insecurity and low self-esteem. She has it. And the way they describe her, she's a beautiful girl, but that has nothing to do with how you actually view and see yourself. And plus, she's had trauma, so you already know that's going to be an issue. So Gideon is also in San Diego, and he goes to meet with Sam Yamara. He's the one that has the tape. And, of course, he wants to try and up the price. But Gideon being who he is, he's already purchased the dive bar. And that a lot of this footage was filmed in, and technically he owns the band, so he threatens him with all kind of legal jumbo because he was recording different people without their consent as well. So the $1 million that he initially offered him, he was I think he said he'll give him $250,000 or something like that, and the guy was like, no, we agreed on the $1 million. He's like, yeah, but you didn't go for that. You just tried to get more. So now the deal has changed. So either you take this or we can go even lower. So, of course, the dude signed the stuff. So then, of course, Gideon has the surveillance of the concert. You already know he's going to do that. He sees Brent and he thinks it's Eva, but it's not. It's the stand-in woman from the video. And he sees the actual Eva walk in on Brent and the woman about to go at it. And he can